Welcome back, everyone. We're going to check out the Marshall JMP-1 against its lesser-known sibling, the Marshall 9004. The 9004 is strictly a solid-state preamp. The JMP-1 has some tubes in it. What the tubes actually do, I don't want to get into that debate right now, but I just kind of want to give you a quick tone contrast. I have the JMP-1 on the OD1 mode. I have the volume at 10, the gain at 5, and the EQ controls set at 0, which actually means they're all in the middle. And then I'm just going to play a little bit and I'll move over to the 9004 and see if I can kind of get close and hopefully just kind of give you an idea of what the 9004 does with its tone stack and its gain controls and sort of how they differ. So having said that, let's hear the JMP-1. Kind of close. The JMP-1 has, I think, a little bit more of that well-defined crunch happening in there. It's not super saturated. The 9004, the gain control is really, really finicky. It's basically clean right up to about 10 o'clock. Then it starts to get really dirty. What is cool about it, though, is that as you push that to about noon, you start to get this really tight kind of distortion. It doesn't fall apart as much as you would expect. So if I kind of bring this up, I'll boost the bass and bring a little bit of mid-range out. This one's really great if you're in a drop tuning. Not too bad, right? And you can get that even brighter and more scooped. Again, let's bring the treble up. More gain, less mid-range. This kind of has a bit of that valve state thing going on, even though it doesn't have valves. I would imagine maybe they kind of refashioned some of this circuit into those original valve state Mark I amps. Can we get that from the JMP-1 though? I'm going to switch preamps and I'm going to go to OD2 on the JMP. So I'm on the OD2 mode. I brought the gain up to 10. I've brought out a bunch of middle, brought up the treble. I've left the presence where it is. Let's just have a listen to where it's at, and then I'm going to activate the bass shift control. That's one of my favorite features on the JMP-1. Kind of like the deep switch on the JCM 2000 series. So you can hear there that I think the JMP-1 definitely just kind of sounds a little bit clearer and less saturated there, but you can go silly and industrial with the 9000 right there. Pull the mids right out, treble right up. You get this kind of like sledgehammer sound, not unlike the Synergy PSA-1 that I demoed on this channel before. We haven't heard the so-called rhythm channel on this preamp just yet. I find you have to just crank the volume control right up on it to get any type of crunch. So that's what we've got going on here. You can see the EQ settings, and it sounds like this. Which honestly is not too bad for a solid state preamp. Let's go back to the JMP-1 on the OD1 mode with way less gain. We're back on the OD1 mode. I brought the gain down to 3 and I have pushed the middle and the treble controls a little bit. This is what we get. So it's funny hearing them side by side there because I was pretty happy with that crunch sound out of the 9000. Then I went to the JMP, I kind of dialed that in somewhere I've liked even more, and then going back, the 9000 didn't really sound that right to me on that rhythm channel anyway. So yeah, what else can we do with the JMP-1 that the 9000 can't really do? I want to go back to the lead channel, bring the treble down, and I'm going to boost the mids. I want to get like a really smooth, sustainy kind of lead tone on the neck pickup. Let's bring the gain control up. This is what we've got. That's actually pretty nice. I like that. It's nice and compressed and saturated, and there's plenty of sustain. Let's go over to the JMP-1. I'll go back to OD2, bass shift on, and I'll play around with the onboard EQ. It's really interesting, the JMP-1, because it's got a mid-range control and a presence control, the way the middle treble and presence kind of act and can be dialed in is really interesting. You heard bring the treble up. It's really like a kind of fizzy distortion pedal sort of texture. So bring it down for the smooth thing and bring the presence and the mid-range up. You can also dip the mids and crank the presence control. The presence is sort of like a high mid control on this particular preamp anyway. So for the lead stuff, I think they actually both sound pretty good. For the kind of lower gain crunch stuff, the JMP-1 all over it. If you want that kind of scooped industrial thing, maybe the 9000, and I guess for more of like a traditional tubey kind of high gain distortion, probably OD2 with the bass shift on the JMP-1. We didn't really check out any clean sounds here, but I figure most people who get one of these probably want it because they want, you know, a Marshall in a single rack space unit. So I was quite surprised at how close I could get with some of those sounds, and then it wasn't really surprising to me after having demoed both of them separately that I much preferred the JMP-1 for the kind of traditional Marshall crunch sounds. I think the JMP-1 sounds a lot more like an actual Marshall head than the 9000, whereas the 9000 is, you know, it's probably better for those extreme kind of tones. So if you're like, you know, a thrash player or an industrial player, you're going for those kind of sounds, I think it's actually pretty cool. If you just want rock and roll, get a JMP-1. There's a reason a lot of people swear by these particular preamps. What did you all think of that, though? That's my opinion, hearing these in the room with my guitar, with my hands. Do you own either of these? Do you own both of these? Have you tried them and not liked either of them? I would love to know in the comments. As always, thank you so much for watching the video. I'll see you all next time.